So please switch on your microphone.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good morning, class. Now, let me actually start. Morning. So let me actually start by giving you the feedback on your case analysis, right? But when I see actually, when you see that majority of you have got 5 up there, where you've actually analyzed the case quite well, and you've given me your reasons. If you've lost marks, those of you who have got less than 5, it's basically because of the way you wrote the answer. Okay, some of the answers were like it was so brief, or where it was so confusing. I mean, you were writing, what happens is I can understand that you know the subject, you know it, but when you're writing it, the way you structured your answer, it was a little confusing for me. And uh, I was getting confused up there, and then you started writing on and on and on without any stoppage, and it goes on, like says, okay, so this is this, and therefore, and then suddenly some sentence is coming in the middle of it, which really doesn't make any sense. Like the structure was really confusing for me. So it was, that's where you lost the marks. And similarly comes up when you talk of the alternatives, like when you come up with your recommendations and solutions, like you're giving it, but if you've lost, those of you who've lost marks there, again, it's basically what you are coming up with. When you, some of you just given a sentence, just one sentence was there for me. And sentence, I mean, it doesn't, I need a little explanation. I'm not saying there are any word limitations, I'm not saying that any, you just have to write pages after pages, but couple of sentences which actually explains what you're trying to say, not one sentence. Okay, because I've not asked you for give me in bullet points, I've said what do you think. So you really need to actually ask about, like you need to explain a little more on that. So that's where it went, like that's where you lost marks. And when you're writing your language, that's where the language also became a problem, because some of you wrote very clearly, use simple words, but it was simple words, but which is easy for people to understand. So that's those who've lost marks there. That's where it is. And next comes up when we talk about the presentation, the style of writing. So style of writing, of course, got affected. If it's confusing, if it's difficult for me to understand what you're trying to say, or there are two, three sentences which are jumbled together, or one sentence which, so that's where you start losing marks. So that these were the things. It's I have nothing to say with your answers. You know your answers, so that was right. It's basically how you presented yourself, and a little more explanation, isn't it? Where just one sentence doesn't help. So these are the minor things where you can also I mean, it would be, the results would be much better, because there are so many assessments coming your way. It's just the starting, and I definitely hope and I do believe that it will be a much better result the next assessment that comes up. Okay, now let me proceed with the class, today's class. Now, today's class is where we have, as I already told you in last week, we're going to talk about the organizational design, different types of organizational design. Now, initially, when the design of an organization was coming up, so it was called the traditional. Initial means which is traditional. So there are 3 different types of organization that we have, which is called the traditional, or the very typical ones which you find in small organizations, or organizations which do not have want to grow, or operating on a smaller scale, or no, like new organizations. So these are the ones where we talk of a simple structure, we talk of functional structure, and we talk of a divisional structure. So let's actually start explaining to you what each of these structures talks about, and what can be the benefits and the drawbacks on this. What can, I will not say drawbacks, but it's challenges. Now, when we talk of a simple structure, any business, when you start your own business, like 1 year later, like you will be graduating, You just have one more year to go, and then you're going to graduate. So when you actually start graduating, some of you would be actually wanting to start, would be starting, not want, but would be starting your own business, or some of you may still have some family business. So you must have seen it. Like when you start your business, it's on a small scale because you do not know what's going to happen, whether you'll be able to sustain or not, whether you'll be able to have customers or not, and how you're going to earn so much profit. You really do not know. So the initial stage is the time where you can have total monitoring happening at that time. So that is what happens. And simple means what? There is very few. You may have entrepreneurs who are doing their own work. They do not have people. Gradually, as you start increasing your business scale of expand your scale of operation, then you start having people. So initially, at the initial stage where you have family, or you have relatives or friends who are working together. So what happens? All of you are actually actively involved in all the work. There are no departments as such, no specialization comes into play. And if you are the owner, you are actively involved in everything that is happening. You can personally have an interaction with your employees, your co-workers, and it's easy for you to make a decision because you are accountable to anyone for giving you feedback. You have the first-hand information that is coming your way. So that's why it says where you actually do not have any departments. And if you have a department, maybe just very few, say one taking care of the finance, like someone who's looking after the finance, and the others looking after the operations, and you are up there to actually monitor everything. Or maybe you at the initial stage you do not have any departments. And because there are few people, so what happens? And because you as the owner of the organization, you are totally involved with the entire process, you're monitoring. So it's a wider span of control. You are having a total control over all of your employees. So it's wider. There's no one below you to whom you delegate that work. There's no one to control. You're the boss and you have your people there. So it's one person. There's no hierarchy. So it's a wider span. So you have all the people under you whom you are monitoring. So it becomes a wider span of control. And because it's a small organization, what happens up here is the degree of bureaucracy is not there. It's more friendly atmosphere because your employees can actually have a direct interaction with you, which does not happen in big organizations. Big organizations means you have your immediate supervisors, then it comes up like it just layers, right? You have the first line of management, then the middle level management, then the top level, then the board. So that goes on. But a small organization, your boss is just above you, and you have a daily interaction, and it's because your boss is also working with you parallelly. So it's a much more friendly atmosphere. So formalization is less. Formalization is where we talk of bureaucracy coming into play. So that is less. It's not that people do not work, people are not working or they're just enjoying life. That's not the thing. But your bosses are also your friends. Because friends in the sense means, yes, of course, you chat and talk and laugh. That is also there. But parallelly, also friends in the sense when you're working together, there's no distinction that this is your boss and these are, or if you think, oh, these are my subordinates, we are all together working together. So that's why this is the basic thing which when we talk about simple structure. Now, as business starts growing, that's when what happens. That's when you need specialized people coming into play if you have to sustain in the market. So you have more and more people coming with respect with some specific skills, say people who have a finance background into finance, taking care of finance and the account section, people who have a good skill in communication, convincing people, they take care of the marketing. And they also go and actually do a research on the new products or the feedback about customers. Those who are busy, those who are very good with the manufacturing, let's say who have an engineering background, the production, right? They would be going with the production department. Those who are good, say, let's say they are having a science background, research background, they would be going to the research and development department. So that's how department starts coming in. So functions, you have different people who have different specialization, and they are grouped together under one specific department. These are functional departments. And who's up there? For each department there is a functional, for each of these functional departments there's a functional head who's up there. So now if we start working in an organization, in such an organization, we do not interact with our bosses, that means the owner of the company, on a daily basis. We report to our immediate superiors, who are the departmental heads, these functional departmental heads, and they communicate to the bosses. In the meeting, when the meeting happens, what happens when you have a meeting of the management, the bosses tell, this is the new plans that's coming up, this is what's going to happen, this is the overall organizational goals of that particular institution. Based on that, every single department has to fix their own goals, which is in line with the overall goals of the organization. And once the departments fix their own goals, the employees who are working in that particular department have to work accordingly, and each would be told what their respective job work is, their responsibility is, and they have to work accordingly to achieve the goals of the department, which is in line with the goals of the organization. So this is the next stage where you have the functional departments, function divisions based on the different functions. And sometimes what happens is there is interfunctional relationship also happening, where you work intra-department, as we say. You're working inter-department, that is within your department, and also intra-department, because there has to be a coordination between the departments that you have. Otherwise, you cannot achieve the overall objectives or goals of the organization. There has to be a coordination, and a couple of you would be actually who have the required skills can be actually handling different departments. You're working in both. Say, for instance, those who are working in the marketing department and those who are working in the sales department, it's interrelated. People in the finance, people in the accounts, that is interrelated. So that happens. So one has to do, you may be asked to work for both the departments. So this is where we talk of the functional structure. Now, followed by the functional structure, then comes up is what we have, the third type of traditional design. That's a divisional structure. Divisional structure is when you have your business and you want to expand your business throughout the country. First comes is within national, then comes international. So you want to expand your business throughout the country. When you want to expand your business throughout the country, your business, your office is in Thimphu. How will you actually do the business somewhere in the east, far east? How will you do that? Say somewhere in, let's talk of Tromsø, let's talk of Tashigang. How will you do it? You cannot operate from here, sitting there and operating there. You cannot cater to the needs of the people there. So that's when you set up branches. Divisions means branch. So you set up your branch throughout the country, which each branch taking care of the people of that area. This is when we talk of national. And after some time, what happens when you think that you are in a position where you can meet the demands of the global economy beyond the national boundary, that's when you start setting up your business in different countries. So that's also division coming into play. Each division or each branch is headed by a branch manager who will be taking care of the day-to-day operations, who will be looking after of how the organization is running. And you have separate group of people who are actually working in that particular branch and working there. You have different departments, different functional departments in that branch. Say a branch in Thimphu has finance department, you have the marketing department, you have the sales department, you have your R&D department, production department is there. A office which is in Tromsø also has the same departments within that branch. So you will be having it. And so there are different people there. And what also happens is you can have sometimes you will have there will be a transfer happening. You get transferred to another branch where it is felt, where your need is felt that okay, like we have a shortage of some employees in this particular in this particular branch, and it's you as the head of the organization, you have to decide. So we really need this person back. So we 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 need this person back. And head office actually controls the entire all the branches. Controls in what way? Where the strategies are concerned, where you talk of the overall goals of the organization. So these are some of the crucial things because the branches are also part of the same organization. So the corporate office controls on these crucial aspects. They do not take care of the day-to-day operations. They are not, that is left to the branch manager, and the branch manager has to report to the head office how the organization is running, what is the problem, what is required, what is not required, what challenges are faced, what are the plans, how to ensure that the branch is really doing well. So it all depends, and the way it depends on how you're working in that branch and your branch man, how effective your branch manager is, and how he or she is leading the entire branch, because a manager has to be a role model. So and different, we see that different branches do well, different branches do not do so well. It depends because there are a lot of problems, a lot of factors there. One could be because of the, let's say, the area where you're operating, the demographic factors. One could be the standard of living of the people who are there. One, there could be also something where you have the market is not close by, or you have some problems with the communication system, or availability of materials is there, or even with the employees who are working there, it could be a problem. Or it could be also the worst thing that comes up is the branch manager is ineffective, and that is also a problem. So certain branches do well, certain branches do not do well. So who is up there to see? It's a branch manager who has to report to the head office. And if the branch manager is creating problem or is really ineffective, one of the employees can actually, they would be reporting to the head office without telling the names. And that's what we say is someone called a whistleblower. Whistleblower is a person who makes it known to the public that the organization is not running properly. So we have whistleblowers in every organization. And whistleblowers are actually controlled in every organization. Head office to get to know, one is the official report, and the second that comes up is the unofficial report, where you have a cross check whether the official report submitted by the branch manager what the unofficial report looking after the branches. Okay, with this, like, where these are the three different types of traditional organizations, traditional organizational design that we have. I'll just give you a brief on the advantages and the challenges that each of these types of organizations face. Now, where with the simple, as I've said, what happens is it's very transparent, easy to control, easy to monitor, and there is an accountability, clear accountability, because very few people are there. So you can actually make it very clear the boss of these three people are responsible for these particular things specifically. So you're accountable, and you cannot actually pass on that responsibility on someone else's shoulders. You have not done the work, your boss is asking you, and you cannot say that no, it's not my job, because because it's 3 persons, and each of these 3 persons have a clear-cut role to play. So it's accountability becomes, that's a very good advantage, and each of you working in a small organization are equally responsible and you are accountable for it. Now what happens is, what can be the challenge up here, as I discussed, is when the organization starts growing, a simple structure is not the right solution. You cannot do it. You cannot have 100 people all taking care of everything. You cannot do that. That's when you have to go for a higher level of organizational structure. So that's the big challenge that comes up. Now, with regards to functional structure, what happens is, like, simple structure means there is always a possibility of duplication of work. Functional structure means what? You get hired in that organization based on your skills, and you're hired for a particular department of that functional department of that organization. So the cost is saved. There's a cost saving method. That helps because there's no duplication of work. The finance department requires 4 people. Each of these 4 people should be responsible for this work. So it's clear, and you do not have to have 10 different people working in the finance department as well as they're doing the work in the marketing. So it's duplication of work. That is prevented up there. Now that is, and the problem that comes up, the main challenge that comes up, as I said, because it's becoming decentralization. It's a challenge for, if it's your business, the challenge for you will be to monitor, because you have to depend on the functional heads to give you the feedback. You do not have a first-hand experience of what is happening, or you lose contact with your employees. You're in contact with the people in the management. That's the challenge that comes up, because the functional heads are giving something, a report. The real situation may or may not be the same thing. There may be some problems happening, and the functional heads do not tell that. Then it becomes a big challenge. So that's a problem that comes up. Now, with regards to divisional structure, what happens is, because it's divided throughout the country. I'm talking of national, within the country. Of course, the last part is, of course, international, but it's the same within the country. So within the country, it's easy to take care of your of your customers who are there in different parts of the country. That's the best thing. You do not have to sit in Thimphu, in the capital city, and you have to think, oh God, how am I going to connect with the rest of the customers who are somewhere in the remote east, remote south, or in the north? How are we going to do that? So that's the big thing, big advantage that comes up. And challenge that comes up is, because it's different branches are doing the same work. So there is duplication of resources. You require more resources. That has to be resources, say, any raw material that you need. If there's a production of, say, in the airlines industry, so you need aluminium to make so it's required, and there are different branches in the country, so different branches require that same amount of aluminum. So what happens is duplication of resources. If there was one production unit in in the country, and all the less amount of aluminum, and it would be in one place. Less amount of human resources, it saves. So the problem that comes up is the cost, because there is duplication of resources. Okay. Any questions up till here? Anyone has any questions and clarifications?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Is there any questions from your side?
No, ma'am.
Uh,
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
okay. There's no question. Thank you. So what we do is, we will go to the next part. Next part in the sense, which is these 3 types were, as we say, is on the traditional type of organizational design. Next we go to the modern organizational design, or as we say, contemporary organizational design. Now there are 3 main things that you have to study, and one is the matrix structure, one is boundaryless structure, the third comes up is virtual structure. Okay, now let me start with the matrix structure. I'm pretty sure all of you know how the matrix structure looks like. If I could just give you, let's say, I'll show you this picture. So just a moment, please. Okay. Yeah, can you see this picture? Are you all able to see the picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Are you all
Yes,
able to see?
ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yeah. So
Yes,
if
ma'am.
you,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
have, yeah. So if you see, this is a typical matrix. What happens up here is, see, there are different departments. These are functional departments that you have: marketing, operations, finance, HR, HR department. Okay. Now, this particular, say, suppose, let's say it's your organization and you have four different types of projects running. And each of these projects is headed by a project manager, or as we say, team leader. For each of these projects, you require people from the marketing, from the operations, from the finance, from the HR. So you have a person in the marketing, someone from the marketing department, someone from operations, someone from finance, someone from HR. Same thing happens for the rest of the three projects also. If one of your employee is in the marketing department and is working in the project A, so what happens? The person has two different bosses. One who is the marketing manager, one who is the project manager. So for that particular project, you have the project manager who is actually controlling it. But where promotions are concerned, performance appraisal is concerned, it's the marketing manager. Why? Because the person, your employee, belongs to the marketing department. And there has to be a coordination between the project manager and the marketing manager, or project manager and operations manager. There has to be a coordination. There cannot be conflict. You should be very much clear that what is your role. For that particular project for which the project manager is the leading it, the person who's leading it, he or she has the ultimate say. But where the promotion is concerned of the employee belonging to that, the different employees who are in that project, their respective functional head will be responsible for the promotion. Or if not promotion, if there is scope for improvement, or if there is certain cases where they are removed also, there the functional heads, they decide onto it. Is this clear? Have you all understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is where we talk of the functional, where we talk of the matrix structure, where we basically have two different uh, managers. And the problem also can come up with respect when you are actually working there as an employee, where you have two bosses. And we know that, like, when you have two bosses, it's always a big challenge, right? So the responsibility lies on the shoulders of the managers, how well they are coordinating. If they are able to coordinate well, if they're able to coordinate properly, then the project will run smoothly. But if the managers themselves have their ego problems, and they are just like they're fighting with each other, they're trying to assert themselves, and say, for instance, the finance manager is saying, oh, but your project is successful, is working because of my employee who's there, my employee, my co-worker who's there in my department, who's he or she is a very good person with finance. That's why the project is running successfully. There's less, it's cost saving. You're earning so much of profit. Then it's a problem. Of course, because that employee is the best. That is why that employee is in that project. Everyone knows this. Main thing is to ensure that the project is done successfully. So that coordination has to be there. If that coordination is not there, as a common employee, then it becomes a problem, because two bosses are giving two different directions. So that's the big challenge that comes up when you talk of matrix structure. Now coming up with the next one where we talk of the boundaryless structure. Now boundaryless structure is, boundary means where you have a, we all know that there's a restriction. Boundary is, when we talk of boundary in an organization, that is boundary between departments. Boundary where we talk of the different levels of management and hierarchy, as we say, that's vertical boundary. Horizontal boundary is where you have different departments. So that is, a typical organization will have boundaries that there are, when you are employing your people, you know this person has a particular person has skills for marketing, will be put in the marketing department and not in the finance department, and that employee will not start meddling with the finance department. So there is a boundary. Or an employee, when they report to their immediate superior, and then the hierarchy goes up. A common employee will just not go or walk up to the owner of that organization. They will not walk into the chamber of that owner and they start talking. Say for instance, if you think of RTC, like any problem that you have, if you have any issues and you talk, what you say, you first talk with your tutors if it has to do with the subject. Then if it's something to do with your hostel, you actually start talking with the mentors. If it's anything to do with the student affairs, you go and talk at the student affairs department, where you do not just walk into the registrar's office, you talk with the student affairs department, student service department, there are people who are there. You do not just walk up to the dean's office. Only when you anything to do with the academics, if it is with your attendance or something, where you are absent, your leave letter, you go up to the AAD. You do not walk up to the dean's office. That's not how it goes. For us, we have our program leaders. We go and talk to them. We do not just walk up to dean's office or the president's office or the director's office and start talking. We do not do that. So that is the vertical boundary that we have. There's a restriction. And that too, we do not always walk to the PL's office. We try to solve it at our own level, and only certain things require more, let's say, more intervention to a greater level, do we actually go up to the hierarchy, to the top level or the immediate bosses. So this is where we talk of boundary. Now there are big organizations or certain organizations where you do not have that boundary. You can cross that boundary and actually work. For instance, as you know, big organizations, say, let's talk of Reliance, right? Reliance has multiple businesses. Reliance Group has multiple businesses. Say they are in the telecommunication, they are also in the petroleum business. They have the food industry is there, so they have multiple things. So someone who's working in the telecom department, that telecom business of Reliance, always will have information of what is happening in the food industry, Reliance Fresh, what is happening there. If there is a scope, if there is an opportunity, they would prefer to go there. So mobility happens. Boundaryless is where you have a mobility and you can actually start shifting. You can do that. Or it can be, when you talk of boundaries, you have an external boundary also. What is the external boundary? External boundary is where we talk of the external stakeholders. External stakeholders, that is our customers, our suppliers, government, the law, these are the external stakeholders. Now, sometimes what happens is, when as employees, common employees, we talk to the customers, we ask their feedback. So sometimes we also encourage the customers to talk. So customers are crossing their boundary, talking to the organization, suggesting that, talking about the kind of resources to use, talking of a better type of production, or talking of a better quality. That comes up. Taking a feedback survey is something else, but when you start giving suggestions to the organization, that's where you cross your boundary. So the external boundary. So you are actually indirectly an employee encouraging the customers to talk to the organization. So that's boundaryless. Now, this is definitely, one way it's good. One way it can be challenging also, because if you do not have the right kind of information, then it can create problem. And if you have, say for instance, the example that I gave you about the customers, if customers have a knowledge, it's fine. Of giving suggestions, feedback is fine. But if you cross that boundary and you start meddling into the affairs, the internal work, how the organization is running, that's where the problem comes up. Because as customers, a customer will never know how the organization is running. Giving suggestion is fine, but if it's not, if you start meddling too much, then it becomes problem. So that's a big challenge that can come up. But then there are opportunities also for people to enhance, for to grow. When you see different opportunities coming your way, or if you want to see that the products that you're using as a customer, if you want it to be much better, if you want to, then you can always give it. That's all. That scope is there, but it does not happen for every organization. Certain organizations do it, not all. Everyone will not allow this. So it all depends on the management which is up there. Okay. Now coming up with the last type of modern type of design, which is the latest, which is as called the virtual organization. Virtual is where you work through online. This is where we are today. We are talking of, we are doing the classes of virtual learning. This is virtual learning where we are not meeting in person in class, but yet we can see each other, we can talk to each other and getting the work done. And we, after the end of every class that we're having, certain work is being given to you, assigned to you. You're doing it, you're submitting, just as you do it in class. And that's also being we look into it and we give you the feedback, which we do it in class. We all this work that we are doing today, we do it in class when we are actually sitting in the class, and you're actually being, when you sit in A25, it's been there. You do it, the same thing. But we are not meeting in person. Each of us are sitting in our own homes in different parts of the country, and we're working, but we are actually seeing. So this is virtual learning, or doing the work from a distance. So what happens up here is, in case of a virtual organization, there are it's a combination of two structure. One is the traditional structure. Traditional structure is where they're the common people, where the employees who are up there. Some of the employees are working, coming to office, working there, sitting, and there are some specialized people, highly skilled, highly specialized, who are sitting in different the other rest of the world, in different parts of the world, who's not there in the country, but they are still working. How? Through online. They're communicating with you. They're telling you. They're getting the work done, and it's being sent. For instance, here what is happening at RTC at this moment is, we as faculty members, we are sitting back home taking classes, doing the work here. We do not have to go to office. But the office staff, the staff of the college, they have to come. They are up there every day from 9 to 5. People are up there in the office, in the department. They're trying to work. They're trying to ensure that this virtual learning goes on smoothly. We have the support staff here for cleaning the campus to see that there's no pollution, there's no dirt around, that we are all protected. So this is where we are talking of a virtual organization here at this moment at RTC. This is what it is happening. It's a combination. So people who are working for a virtual organization, those employees who are actually sitting in the office, coming, they're also helping, ensuring that people who are not coming to office, who are working online, they are also, it becomes easy for them to work back from their own country, or sitting in their own office, or sitting at home, and they're able to work. So it's a combination. And the way it's going, the world is going, this is where the world is heading. Virtual organization. There are challenges, there are benefits. Benefits in the sense, if things can be done online, you do not have to. What is the need for you to actually be physically present, and just waste of time? You can sit back and do that work. The traveling, going and coming, that expense is saved. You can still sit back and do the work. And who's there, sitting there? Those who actually have to do the physical work, they're the ones who are coming into the office and doing the work based on what you're giving, to ensure that. So that's a combination. So Of course it's good, but the challenge also comes up is where you're not able to interact with the person on an as and when you want to. It's difficult. When you say for instance, like of course, like when we have we all for HRM 202 we have our messenger group where we text whatever happens. If I have something to say, I text, or if you have something to text, you are texting, and so everyone's getting to know, but we are not able to talk. It's not possible. Talking happens once a week when we are sitting here and all of us are talking. We can talk to each other, we can discuss. So, and it does not always happen. Say suppose right after the class, if say at the end of the day, in the evening, just want to discuss, talk, it's not always possible to call and talk. Here it's fine because it's still in info, but still we have to think of the data pack and all these things. It matters. So, and think of experts who are sitting in different countries. It's not always possible to just talk on the phone. It doesn't help. Sometimes you want the person to actually be physically present in the office to discuss, to see, or to be around where certain things happen on a daily basis where you want the person to be out there. That is the challenge. It's good in one way that you can have experts who do not actually have to come because of time constraint, but still are working with you and helping you. That is a good thing. The challenge that I will not say drawback, the challenge that comes up is it is not possible to have them always in the office, physically present. Cost is a big factor that comes up. Or the person is actually involved in so many other things. So this is where the things come up. Any questions from your side? I mean, this is all from my side for the class. So is there any question? Is there anyone who did not follow a particular concept or any questions?
No, ma'am.
No,
It's clear?
madam.
No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's okay,
No,
madam.
ma'am.
Okay. So if you do not have any questions, what I'll do is you will now after this you will just go to your Google Classroom page. I will be just shortly I'll post some questions based on today's class. Okay, and then you will be writing those answers and submitting to me by 1 p.m. today, right? And then I'll just look into your answers. I'll see it. And then according to it, the beginning of next week when we start the class, I'll give you my feedback on how you went with this, or is there any specific things which you need to add on to it. So that's how you will be going about with it. Okay. And I will definitely let you know like about the changes that is coming up with the assessment dates and the patterns. So by tomorrow, I'll let you know. Okay. Is it
Okay,
clear with
ma'am.
all of you?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. So we